to Navigating the 9 to 5. My name is Tess and I will be your host for today. In today's episode, we are going deep on a problem we are exploring through Your Workplace Agony Aunt, which is our weekly email where we solve some common workplace problems. And I'm thrilled to say that today we have a guest to help us solve this one. Welcome to the podcast, Ewa Golan, holistic health coach.
Thank you so much, Tess. I love your energy. Love your energy. Thank you for having me.
Please, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what it is exactly that you do?
Sure. Again, thanks for having me and welcome everybody. My name is Ewa Golan and I'm a certified holistic health coach and transformation coach. And I think this conversation will be really relatable to you today because I have over 15 years, I'm not going to specify how many, but 15 years of background in corporate marketing. And so I can relate to probably some of the problems that your audience is going through right now. And so before I became a holistic coach, I had a full-on corporate career in London, and that's how Tess and I met. And then in Dubai right now. So yes, and I help specifically ambitious professionals reduce stress, improve their emotional well-being, and build sustainable, healthy habits without deprivation or restrictions. So yes, after all of that phase passed for that kind of corporate life between London and Dubai, I chose to help other corporates kind of break free from burnout and feel energized again.
Amazing. So perfectly placed to help us with our problem today, which is, I think I'm burnt out at work. How do I know and what can I do about it? So for this, and actually for most of these things, I always like to start right at the beginning. So what is the definition of burnout? Now, according to Google's AI overview, I'm just going to read this out here.
Okay.
Burnout, I really liked this definition actually, but please feel free to add. A burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. Eva, what's your thoughts on that definition? Is there anything else you'd add to that?
Yes, it's sort of like a total collapse of the system, where the emotional and the physical and the mental system just collapse. And it often starts with some whispers, not alarms, but when there's a question that's posed like, I think I'm burnt out, it's probably the case that you are already, if you're already thinking that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's sort of the first thing that people might feel if they're burnt out or heading towards burnout?
So from my experience and from speaking to other professionals, my CEOs, they've all been there, we've all been there, and I think it's quite individual, but there are some like common signs, and there's a common thread to burnout. So maybe you're waking up already feeling tired, right? And maybe you're feeling sort of like emotionally flat. And when you're thinking about it's a Sunday evening, and when you think about going to work on Monday morning, it's like, oh my God, and dreading it.
Yeah.
Right? You're dreading it because your body and your mind is already anticipating that level of stress that's coming. So that is definitely, something that a lot of people can resonate with. Maybe you find yourself snapping at some small things, when normally if you were in a calm state of mind, if your nervous system is calm, we don't normally snap at just silly things. But when our nervous system is agitated, we just want to snap at small things. Or maybe you struggle to concentrate, right? Even though when you feel like technically rested, but you're kind of struggling to concentrate, struggle to finish a task, struggle to focus on a task. And maybe, some people find it that they're reaching out for sugar or caffeine to get through the day.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that. I have a
alcohol.
feeling.
That was mine.
Or alcohol.
Yep.
Yes. And then that affects our sleep,
Yeah.
which is a big one.
Yes.
So then we're not sleeping well. I remember that also something that I can resonate with. I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping very well, and then let's say my body was retaining a lot of water because I my cortisol level was very high, and I was on 8 cups of coffee a day.
Wow. Wow.
We
God,
had
you
a
must have been
barista.
like shaking.
We had a barista in the office.
Wow.
So
That is a
whilst
coffee.
I was in first thing in the morning, and he was already making me like an Americano and a double macchiato. So I was
Wow.
having the double macchiato whilst he was making me the Americano to take it to my desk. Good old times.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
it
then, of
was
course, that
bad.
makes it worse, essentially, doesn't it? You're kind of perpetuating this sort of cycle of kind of feeling a certain way, trying to, self-medicate in all the wrong ways, sort of things. And then
Yeah. So
this,
that was my personal experience, but I see a lot of people relying on caffeine so much,
yeah,
because they think it's the only way to stay there,
yeah,
up there. Um, but also maybe, in terms of emotional depletion, it can also come in the form of a mental fog or
yeah,
feeling sort of disconnected from your own life. You know, that feeling when you're just like, you sit at your desk and it's like, I've got nothing else to give.
yeah,
Like, have you felt that?
yeah. Amazing.
Mm.
And then, so I think with burnout, like you were saying, I think with burnout, there's kind of a sliding scale. I think it sort of starts with a couple of flags, a couple of things happening, and then before you know it, you're kind of fully head on into kind of, for me, something quite small happened at work and I cried for like 3 days solid. And
Right.
then I was
Yes.
like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the small things can just seem so big because
Yes.
you're in it. You're in it, and it's just so difficult to see
So
the bigger picture when our body and our nervous system is under stress.
yeah. So if I was kind of or anybody kind of thing, what are the sort of first things to look for? So I think you mentioned some of them there. So is it kind of feeling emotionally flat, feeling tired? What's the difference between sort of just feeling tired and
Hmm.
that being like a kind of a signal that potentially this is a bit more serious than just being tired?
So I think first thing would be it would be important to sort of like ask yourself, right, what is that thing that I'm tired about?
Okay.
Is it, and if the answer is always work, let's say, right, or work is just like the main stressor, right? What is it I'm most stressed about? And if the
Okay.
work
Nice.
is like the most stressor, the biggest stressor, then I think and it comes up constantly. And it's like, oh, I'm tired because I have 9 hours of constant back-to-back meetings, and
Yeah.
maybe then I have to drive to work or drive from work for an hour, and then I have to get home, and then I have to look after the family, and then I have no time for myself, and it's just like a constant thing that is just like a Groundhog Day. Every day is the
Yeah.
same. Um, versus like, oh, I'm just a little bit tired because, okay, we're all get tired at some point, but I think that constant tiredness without breaks, that's the one that can lead to burnout.
Yeah.
Because if you're tired, but then you take breaks to recharge, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But if it's the constantness of it, then that's when I think it becomes a problem.
So that's quite interesting. So to sort of tell the difference, essentially, kind of take a short break. If you
Mm.
feel refreshed, if you feel better, then that's a sign that potentially burnout would be further down the line if you didn't have those breaks, but also that you're not there quite yet. Like burnout is kind of a
Mm.
chronic, sort of prolonged, deep tiredness of like, I guess of kind of not just work, but it's everything, isn't it? Like you say, you feel
Yeah.
emotionally flat, so you're kind of detaching from so many other aspects of life as
Hmm.
well. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, very much so. And I think we need to remember that stress can be useful, but when
Yes.
it's short term, and like you said, it's that chronic stress, that's what leads to burnout when there's no recovery. It's like athletes, right? When they train for their game or Olympics or anything, it's they train, but then they dedicate time to recovery because they
Yeah.
understand how important it is for their body to physically recover. So it's not like they constantly go, go, go and train all the time. They realize how important it is to take breaks and give your body time to recover. So I think that's a really good way, an analogy of looking at it when we think about stress.
Yeah, I love that. Dedicate time to recovery. Be
Mm,
channel your inner athlete. But I think as well, it's really important to remember, and I'm sure, well, I know that you do a lot of sort of teaching around this, in that it's more than just a physical rest, isn't it? It's a mental rest, it's an emotional rest, it's a social
mm,
rest, it's a, all of the above. And I think
yeah.
we can kind of get sort of sucked into the kind of the weekend is here for a rest, but actually, if you've got social engagements, a family, or young children, perhaps that is not a rest. And actually, you know, you
Yeah.
do still need this time for recovery, and maybe
Yeah.
it's more than that. It needs to be a bit more intentional rather than just not thinking about work for a couple of days.
Mm, mm. Exactly. And also something that you mentioned, like alcohol, right? Because
Yes.
if you do have social engagements on the weekend, there tends to be alcohol. And unfortunately, more and more studies show that when it comes to alcohol, it's hindering the
Yeah.
recovery of our
Yeah.
health. And if you have a watch like Whoop or a tracker that you
Yeah.
can track, the impact of alcohol, then you're actually slowing down that recovery if you're drinking or over drinking every single weekend, then that becomes a habit, and then that can
Yeah.
become even a bigger problem. And there is a big drinking culture in, let's say, in places like in the UK or even Dubai. Brunches are all that used to be a
Yeah.
weekend thing. Now it's a daily thing. You can go
Yeah.
out to brunch on a Monday or Tuesday or whatever whatever you want. And it's like in the UK, it's a bottomless brunch, I think, that lasts for 2 hours.
Yeah.
In Dubai, it's 4 hours, and then there's a happy hour, so you stay for the happy hour, and it's just like a constant thing. So it's very easy to get stuck in,
Yeah.
and if there is like that social element of it, but then it's like, okay, so if that's something that you're struggling with right now, it's like, what else can you do
Yeah.
to enhance your social life that doesn't include social occasions with drinking? Like, what else can you do to help your body heal? What else can you do to bring some balance into your body and your mind without having to go into doing all of these things? And then people say, "Oh, but it's my friends. My friends
Yeah.
always do that." I'm like, okay, well, that's it's sort of like I used to use that as an excuse because it's my friends, but then it's like it's a victim mentality for me when it's like, oh, it's my friends. Okay, but it's your choice to hang out with these
Yeah.
people. So can you find other friends, different types of, have different types of friends that do different things to help
Yeah.
yourself sort of bring that balance and do other activities that don't involve drinking.
It's so hard though. Like you say, there is such a culture in the UK of drinking. I absolutely got fully involved with that. And I can't lie, thoroughly enjoyed most of it. But it's a really it's a really interesting thing. So it would kind of come to a Friday night, sometimes a Thursday night, sometimes a Wednesday night. You'd had a difficult day, so had loads of other people in the office, and you go for a drink. And in London, none of us drove because none of us had cars in London. So that one drink could turn into like a 4 o'clock in the morning finish, as it often did. But I absolutely kind of found myself sort of under this illusion of, well, it's okay because everybody else is doing it. And everybody in the office, we all, in a couple of jobs in particular, none of us really knew what we were doing. We were all quite stressed with work. And we kind of found this therapy in drinking together. And actually, we formed really amazing, really close bonds. But it was so unhealthy. And then, of course, changing that relationship is really difficult. Kind of the only way actually that I did it was by moving out of London, by meeting my now husband. that itself was very interesting because he doesn't drink, and I used to think that I was great on a hangover and nobody noticed, and but he's like, no, you're not, and was the first to kind of point that out. And actually it really, when we first got together, it really made me, it was one of the biggest turning points actually. And when COVID hit, because suddenly we couldn't go to the pub anymore and suddenly we were all at home, and it really made me kind of check myself and be like, wow, you were drinking so much. And then, like you say, I was kind of talking to the people that I was, used to be in the pub with, and all of us suddenly were like, well, we're going for walks and we feel like much better in the morning, and all this kind of thing. But I so see how it's such a kind of, it's like another kind of what's the word I'm looking for, another thing that would add to that sort of sliding scale towards burnout, because I felt, and I kind of made my own excuse, which was I need a drink because I'm stressed. And then it was kind of, everybody around me was like, oh, me too. And it would get to kind of, I don't know, 4:30, 5, whatever, in the office, and there'd be a few people that I know, and as they would me, that would want a drink. And
Yeah.
then it became fun until it didn't,
Yeah.
until you kind of realize that actually, like I said, COVID hit at the perfect time for me, because it kind of stopped
Wow.
everything completely. Otherwise, I have no doubt that I would have been on the way to another burnout. So yeah,
Yeah.
what advice would you have for people that are kind of self-medicating with alcohol, like I definitely was?
Well, hopefully there won't be another COVID for
Yeah.
for that to happen for a very
Yeah.
long time. But I think it all comes down to awareness, right?
Mm.
Self-awareness and tuning into your gut feeling, because we know deep inside, we know our intuition is strong, even when it's not, let's say, being listened to so much. It's strong. You know deep inside that you're like, oh God, I shouldn't be doing this
Yeah.
for myself, deep inside. So it's like when you tune into that voice, that's like that's sort of like the first thing that helps with just that self-awareness of like, mm, when you're if someone's listening to it. And I know that people don't ideally, people don't like being told what to do. Like, as a coach, I don't really tell people what to do. We know inside we are all our own best health experts,
Yeah.
and we know deep inside what's good for us. We just sometimes don't listen.
Yes.
So it's important to tune in and just listen. And sometimes, it takes one person to help. Like, there might be an occasion where you would have to choose between the two.
Mm.
You got invited to go to the pub, or you got invited to go and, I don't know, play football or play paddle. Now it's very famous,
Yeah.
very popular, or do something active. And it's like, that's your choice. What are you going to choose?
Yeah.
And I think it's that first step. If you choose the other thing, if you choose doing something active, and see how amazing you feel after doing
Mm.
that
Yeah.
active thing. And I feel like it's more likely that you're going to choose this thing again over and over, and it's just only going to benefit you in the long term, instead of choosing again, just doing that thing. And I think for many people, it's just kind of like, oh, I've been there, done that, like, enough,
Yeah.
after so many years of
Yeah.
doing it. I think a lot of people are just sort of will reach that point eventually themselves. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, and I've had enough. What else is out there? But I think when you're sort of younger and new to the scene, or maybe you're like kind of trying to climb the corporate ladder or try to
Yeah.
fit in, like I remember those days for myself in my 20s or early 30s. I tried to fit in, and it was one of those things. But I think maybe sometimes we have to go through it, like,
Yeah.
to then realize that you really don't have to fit in the end. The most amazing thing is that you being yourself, being your authentic self. But that comes with time and wisdom and a few gray hairs.
Yeah.
Um,
Something like that.
so,
I can see mine coming through actually. Like you say, wisdom,
um,
wisdom.
wisdom hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I think that's really, really good advice actually. Like, tune in and listen. I was part of the reason I got into doing this is because I realized when I started to do the work just how out of tune I was with my body. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea how it was actually truly feeling, and I had no idea what made it feel good, because I was just kind of distracted by the kind of routine of the week, I guess. Like I said, it was a Thursday, so we'd always go for drinks on Thursday, or it was a Tuesday and we'd probably go for drinks on Tuesday, and it was
Yeah,
just
it's a
kind of,
happy hour Tuesday,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so tune back in and listen
Yes.
is really, really good advice. So tell me about a time. Was there a particular time for you where you kind of reached burnout that was like a turning point for you, or a couple of times, or
Mm.
what's your kind of story to it?
So the one that stands out was when I moved to Dubai, and I
Okay.
was a year from London, and then I was a year in. That was 2017, and I obviously started a new job, new corporate job at a big tech company in Dubai, in the MENA region, and I wanted to prove myself. And I was single, so kind of self-sustainable and everything, and so I felt a lot of pressure to perform well, otherwise I lose my job and have to leave Dubai, and I just moved my life. So
Yeah.
I really felt like I felt a lot of under a lot of pressure. But it was self-made pressure.
Yes.
Oh, it always comes from within. It's like
Yes.
self-made.
Yeah.
Uh, and I remember, yeah, just being on 8 cups of coffee a day, and then and also like working out. But I was doing CrossFit, and I didn't like doing CrossFit. I just did it to fit in because all
Yeah.
my colleagues from work were doing CrossFit. I'm like, okay, so I'll do CrossFit, and I hated it. Uh, Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do something that I hate, and also like waking up at 5, drinking a shot of espresso, and then
Yeah.
going out to CrossFit. Not a great start to the date if you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then like I was just depleted, yeah, emotionally depleted. Like it just every single day just felt like a struggle, and like what's the point kind
Yeah.
of thing. And luckily, I think I made a prayer to the universe. I was like, universe, please send me something. I need an escape. I need to get out of here, get out of Dubai, because Dubai can be very energy draining. I guess it
Okay.
depends on people, but for me personally, I know that if I spent like 12 months in Dubai, I didn't travel, so it was just so energy draining for me. And luckily, I found a an escape ticket in a form of Vipassana. So I traveled to India to go for a 10-day silent. Some people call it meditation. Some
Wow.
people call it prison because you can't leave for 10 days.
Oh my God. Are you
Uh,
silent for 10 days?
Silent for 10 days. We meditate for 10 hours a day, with breaks. But we wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no coffee.
Yeah, there's no espresso shot there.
There's no espresso shot there, so I had to quit cold turkey, and
Wow.
I was drinking ginger tea instead, which at that time I didn't know how what a blessing that was, because ginger also has um, anti-inflammatory is in anti-inflammatory properties. So it's so good for us. So that actually helped just bring that inflammation in my body down. And with meditation helped bring cortisol levels down.
Okay.
It was a very drastic thing. So that's the thing. Sometimes when we're already burnt out, it's too late. And we
Yeah.
have to sometimes take drastic measures. So that was my drastic measure. But at the end of those 10 days, I think I lost like 5 kgs
Yeah.
without doing anything. I was still like, I was eating a lot because I love the Indian vegetarian food that they were
Yeah.
serving. But my cortisol levels went down. So I think a lot of people will notice that when they're so stressed, they might balloon out. Maybe they're retaining water. Maybe the cortisol level is really high, and typically you can see on the face. So the face becomes much rounder, and with like with alcohol as well,
Okay.
that kind of enhances that too with drinking. So that was a big wake up call for me, and I came back a changed person.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was incredible, and that really helped me sort of like tune into my body and
Yeah.
become more self-aware, and I started practicing mindfulness, meditation, and yeah, it was a big game changer for me.
Wow. So 10 hours of meditation a day. Are you
Mm.
are you give so I kind of really want to get into meditation. I do it a little bit kind of thing. And I've sort of been reading a lot about it and stuff. And there's obviously like loads of different kinds, loads of different ways to
Hmm.
do it. There's no like right or wrong or whatever. So when you sort of go there for the first time, do they give you like this like directions and be like, go over there and think about this, or just listen to your breath, or like, how did you start? How do you start doing that?
Hmm. So there's like the beauty about meditation is that there's so many different types of it, and sometimes what can be a meditation for one person can be something very different from someone else. So like some people will sit in a lotus space and meditate, but some people can just go cycling or go for a beautiful walk in the nature, and that can be a meditation as
Yeah.
well. With Vipassana, and Vipassana is very much focused on observing the sensations that you feel on your body to get really in tune with your body. So, day one, you would start, we started with sort of focusing about the sensations around our mouth. And then, let's say day two, focus around the sensations about your on your nose. And then it kind of goes, as the days go by, you kind of start focusing a little bit more about your head and about your arms and your legs, etc. So you really sort of focus on you're so in tune with yourself. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Um, so yeah, that's sort of like, but what that helps is that helps with your focus,
Yeah.
right? So kind of maintaining the focus without the thoughts going out somewhere else too much, right? And then whenever they go out somewhere, you kind of bring them back to feeling the sensations on your body. But so many meditations are very different, and it really it's all about experimenting and finding what
Yeah.
works for you. And if it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. It's okay. 5 minutes can be a huge thing, huge change if it's
Yeah.
something, a huge benefit if you do something regularly every single
Yeah.
day. So it doesn't have to be like an hour a day to start with. It's like even if it's 5 minutes or 2 minutes and you do it consistently every single day, that can also show like really amazing benefits on how you feel on a daily basis.
Amazing. So yeah, so I what do I do? I listen to is it the Calm app? I
Calm,
want to
yeah.
say.
Uh-huh.
And they do like a no, it's not, it's Headspace. And they do
Headspace.
like a body scan. So
Nice.
like a very, very, very shortened version of what you did in 10 days, they do in 10 minutes, which is like literally scanning through
Nice.
areas of the body and kind of feeding
Nice.
back into it, because it's not very often that you sit there and you think like, oh, how does my left elbow feel? And actually
Oh, I
when you
didn't know I had stress in it. Oh,
yeah.
well, now I know.
I think I better stretch it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but it's a really kind of like you say, one if you do that sort of thing regularly,
Mhm.
then you will start to realize when your left elbow doesn't feel okay, for example,
Yes.
kind of thing, and when actually things are starting to kind of pile on a little bit, when you are sort of starting to kind of
Mhm.
go down that slippery slope to
Okay.
burnout. I think that can be.
So
Oh, go on.
let me ask you a question then. If like we can have a little bit of coaching here. So
Okay.
if that's okay with you,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Open to that.
And that I'll ask you some questions, and then that might help whoever's listening. And if there's something that they want to implement as a new habit, um, I invite them to, and if you're watching, if you're listening, I invite you to also answer those questions for yourself, okay?
Love this. Yes.
So, okay, so when you're thinking about starting meditation, what's important about that for you?
What's important about starting meditation? So I tell you what
Hmm.
is probably for me, if I'm being really honest, is that I keep reading about how good it is for me. And I feel like I want a piece of that, which is absolutely the wrong reason to want to meditate, I'm sure. Um, it's also kind of um, space to find mental clarity, to feel better, to feel good, I've read so many things around that it helps so many areas of life, like, kind of focusing and all that sort of stuff. And I guess I want a piece of that.
Nice. So I'm hearing that you want a piece of feeling good and having that mental clarity. And what would that give you? What would having mental clarity give you?
Um, the ability to focus on the right things and to be kind of more present, I guess, in all the right places, quote unquote. What I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that is, I try really hard, or do try really hard to be present as a business owner when you are single handedly sales, marketing, admin, everything. It's really, really hard to switch off. And actually, one of the things I've done recently is I put my phone on do not disturb, and I'm
Nice.
trying to like get rid of notifications and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Nice.
mental clarity in terms of like focus, being able to focus and be present, and do really good deep work when I'm at work, and
Mm.
also have really great connection with my husband, kind of thing, and be present for him when I'm not at work
Nice.
and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, I love that. So I'm hearing that it will help you focus and it will help you be more present and focus on the right things when you're doing work. It will help you focus on work, and then when you're with your husband, it will help you focus being present with your husband, right? And just kind of be able to switch off without constantly thinking about work. Is that right?
Yes, exactly
Mm.
that.
And what would that give you when you think about like where would that lead you to? If you get there, if you achieve that, you see yourself like being more present, you see yourself having that focus and being able to do that deep work. What else would that give you?
The first thing that comes to mind is like a richer life,
Mm.
because I will have a better quality relationship with my husband if I can be fully with him when I'm with him. And hopefully, I will be able to create better work, when I'm
Mm.
deep and focused and kind of fully in the zone and tuned in, and also like, be able to get better in the gym, like when I'm fully focused in the gym, kind of thing, and like prioritize that. And to your point around kind of tuning back in, being able to kind of listen to what makes me feel good, and then hopefully do more of that.
Beautiful. I love it. Yeah, so having a richer life and having a better quality relationship with your husband and it'll help you create better work and focus and kind of focus on those pillars of your life as you're in them, not sort of like in the circus where we try to like
Yeah,
juggle so many
not
plates at
being
the
half
same
in
time.
all of them all the
Yeah, yeah,
time.
beautiful. So you see, it's like, thank you for going with me on this. So you see how when we pause a little bit and stop and kind of like think about why is this important to me? Why do I want to start meditate, right? If we just put like I want to start meditate on in our to-do list, eh,
Yeah,
okay. Where is it really going to happen? But when you really go a little bit deeper and uncover the layers and just start asking yourself, but why? Why is this important to me? Okay, but why is this thing important to me? And then you go a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're like, well, yes, I do want a richer life. I want better quality relationship with my partner. It's interesting how it goes deeper than that, and then that can motivate us more than just, oh, okay, I read how good it is, and I want some peace in my life.
yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful in a way that, oh, actually, like, yeah, maybe I can find 5 minutes for this because I know why it's important to me.
Yeah, I love that. I've literally just written down meditation equals a richer life.
And now you can put this somewhere as your, I call it an anchor, like a visual
Yeah,
anchor, right?
love
Like
that.
somewhere, yeah.
Love that. And somewhere in the show notes, no doubt.
Yeah.
Nothing is learning from today. Meditation equals a richer life, and I'm here for it.
Who knew? Who would have thought?
I love that. And I think as well, it's the sort of thing, we've just started watching Billions. Do you know it was the box set that came out like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago or something, I think it was.
I heard
With
of it. I heard of it, but I was scared to get into another one because
yeah,
I was watching Suits at the time, so I was like, no, let me just finish Suits, and I needed a break from Suits. Yeah.
Suits also excellent.
Yes.
So Billions is, oh, I've forgotten his name, Damian Lewis, I think it is. It came out ages ago.
Okay.
Anyway, it's really interesting. So it follows the life of this CEO billionaire, and it's really interesting. So his every day at all hours of the day, his phone's ringing. People want to talk to him. People have questions for him. He has to make decisions. All this, all this. He gets home. He's got children, family life, all this sort of thing, and he makes time intentionally. He kind of locks himself away in this quiet room. And it shows it quite a lot on the programme. We're only like a few episodes in, but it shows him he always kind of every day makes time for meditation. And actually it's really interesting as well, isn't it, when you kind of get into the roots of like successful people, like you say, athletes, all this sort of thing. Like there is, meditation used to be seen as this kind of woo-woo sort of thing that hippies in Bali did with no shoes on kind of thing. And then you realise that actually it's so important, so good for you on so many levels.
Yeah.
And there is so much evidence behind this now, like scientifically
Yeah.
and anecdotally,
Yes.
that, got to be doing something right.
And what I would love to add is also like when I meditate, and when we meditate, we just take a step back. We pause a little bit, because when we're constantly go 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 go, I really believe that creativity doesn't come in those moments, because we're focusing on doing.
Yeah.
To me personally, like, creativity comes when I meditate. So when I take a step back and I just focus on my meditation at the moment, like let's say I do like a mix of Joe Dispenza, let's say, and when I pause, amazing ideas come to me when I meditate, because I'm taking a step back. Sometimes they come in the shower, sometimes they come in the meditation, but it's like that moment of pausing, especially when we're just constantly bombarded, like you said, with all the messages. And there's a really good app that you may like to try if you're into like switching off your phone these days as well, which really helped me with reducing social media. It's called Freedom.
Freedom, love that. Excellent
Freedom
name.
app, right? Very accurate. What it does is you select the apps that you want to block, and you select the timings when you want to block them. And what I found, that let's say I'm blocking my Instagram, emails, and LinkedIn, all of the socials. I'm blocking, let's say, from 8 p.m. until 10 a.m.
Nice.
And on Sundays I try to go without. And it's incredible how, like, I reach for my phone, and it's just a habit.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
It's 9 p.m. Okay, let me check Instagram. Oh, it's blocked. Okay, fine. Then I won't reach for it. But it's just a habit. It's like we reach for our phone. Okay, let's check, But with that app, it's blocked. So you can't really, and it's done really, really well. So I truly recommend that. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try that.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. So much of it is just habit. We don't actually, there's nothing that we need to do on Instagram. And we did have a life before Instagram, showing my age here, but I can definitely remember life before Instagram. But yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing your story there. So I'm going to share quickly my story of burnout.
Yes, please.
Which is slightly different. So for me, it came at work when similar stuff to what you were saying. I wrote down kind of tune in and listen, because I was so out of tune with who I was. So mine came 5 years ago at the beginning of COVID, when I was working for a manager who I thought was great. I blamed him for everything. This is like, it was not his fault at all. he just happened to be there when this happened. Basically, working super hard. As it turned out, I spent 3 years working towards a promotion for a job that I never actually wanted. It was just my ego that wanted it. So at the time I was 33, I wasn't married, I didn't have children, I wasn't like director level or head of or this, that and the other. And I was just like, if I'm not married with children, then I have to have this director level thing. That has to be the thing that I go for, because I can control that, whereas I can't control like when I meet people or whatever. Just so happened that I'd met my now husband that year. Anyway, no, year before. But yeah, so mine came from that, and it took. So there was one particular conversation that I had with my manager at the time, where he blamed me for something that absolutely wasn't my fault, and I got off that call and I couldn't stop crying, and I cried all weekend. Like back to what we were talking about burnout, and I was like, yeah, that's not a normal reaction to a conversation like that. I was like, oh my God, what is happening to me? And I went to the doctor, and I got signed off sick from work for 2 weeks, and during that time I went up to see my parents. No, I went up to see my sister, I think, or whatever, and my parents, and I just got some space, but I had a proper 2 week circuit break. Like you were saying, you had the kind of 10-day silent meditation. We were not silent, me, my mum, my sister, but it was such a circuit break. There was, no work. I didn't have to even think about it. And then during that time, a friend of mine put me in touch with an amazing coach, and I remember in one of our sessions when I was crying because I had an appraisal coming up with this guy, and she was like, do you even want this job, like this promotion? And I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want it. But like, I had spent 3 years working towards this thing because I didn't think, I don't know, I didn't have anything else, or I didn't think I had anything else. And that was just kind of, I was at the age where I needed to be something, I think. But like I said, I wasn't a wife, I wasn't a mother, therefore I needed to be something at work, kind of thing. And what I learned was that, like I said, firstly, I was going towards a promotion that my ego wanted. Do you know what it was? Fucking LinkedIn. I wanted to be the one that was like, I am so thrilled to announce that I've been promoted, because there's kind of certain times of the year, for me, working in professional services, where my entire network, my entire social feed is flooded with people saying that they've just been promoted, and I wasn't that person. And my ego absolutely was desperate for that to be me. And then the second thing, like I said, back to what you said around tune in and listen, is that I was so out of touch with who I was, what I was good at, what I loved, what I wanted to do. And thankfully I started working with this coach, and a new manager came in who I'd been working with previously, and he was like, Tess, I don't think that you actually want this job that you've been going for. I see your skill sets kind of in this other area, sort of over here. What do you think? And I was like, oh my God, no one's ever asked me what I want to do. I don't know. And I didn't know. And then I had a whole other thing where I was like, well, now I don't know who I am, because I'm not even going for this promotion. I'm still not married, and I'm still not a mother. And, all of these kind of things, as women, as society says, these things should make you happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, thankfully, kind of, it was just enough to sort of give me the space to be like, okay, and permission, I guess, and empowerment to be like, okay, what do I actually want? What am I actually good at? And now this is what I teach people, because it's all I needed to know was that I had a choice. All I needed to know was, which is ridiculous that I didn't know that, but I didn't feel like I had the space to be able to make that decision. And yeah, and then here we are, 5 years later.
So a quick question around, when you mentioned being on LinkedIn and seeing everyone getting promoted, and you're like, oh, I want to be that person, they're going for it for 3 years. What belief were you holding about yourself, or might have you been holding about yourself, that was driving you to do that?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I did quite a lot of work with this, actually, with my coach at the time. And I had this thing being like, I have to be seen as the expert. So I wanted what's the word? There's definitely ego in there. There's definitely some sort of status, I'm sure. But there's also like recognition and endorsement that I'm doing a good job, praise maybe, that I am good at what I do.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting, you see, because when it comes to our behavior, I might be digressing a little bit, but I think it's something very important that we're touching on
Yeah,
here, because our behavior is primarily driven by our thoughts and feelings.
yeah,
And our feelings are driven by our thoughts are driven by our beliefs. So what we believe inside then manifests in our behavior, and our
yeah,
behavior manifests in our results. So many people who get burnt out may hold a belief about themselves that, let's say, I'm not good enough,
yes,
I'm not powerful, I'm not worthy. These are like, let's say,
yeah,
the big ones, I think, when it comes to like people who are very ambitious, very
yeah,
driven, very, they're go-getters. They want to, high achievers,
yeah,
right? I think burnout typically happens around high achievers. So those beliefs and those limiting beliefs sometimes can either hold us back, or
yeah,
they can push us to those moments when it's like, oh my God, I didn't even notice, I didn't want this, and I've been at it for 3 years,
yeah,
what it took is for you to zone out for 2 weeks to get
yeah,
to get out of the work environment, for you to realize, oh my God, I actually want this.
yeah,
So that is something that I think a lot of people might resonate with. It's like, okay, what is that belief that I'm holding about myself that may be driving me crazy, or
yeah,
driving me to this point where it's like I'm constantly going, working, working, working? Is it because I feel like I'm not good enough and I
yeah,
need to prove myself? So for me, for example, my limiting belief was I'm not capable.
yeah,
And I remember how that turned into like this situation where I used to be a dance coach as well. So I had a dance business in London and in Dubai for 12 years. And I remember there was this girl who wrote us a 1-star Google review. And, and I was like, oh my God, it was my child, it was
yeah,
my business. I loved
yeah,
it so
yeah,
much. I'm like, what? Like, why would someone give us a 1-star review? And then I checked in the system and I couldn't find her name. I'm like, she never attended our class.
what?
And then I checked my inbox and I found an email from her, and she actually wanted to become an instructor. She wanted to teach for us. And then at that time I said to her, we're not taking any new instructors. If we do, when we do, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep your name, in mind. So she didn't actually attend. So I don't know if it was what was driving her, if it was jealousy or envy or something like that that
Wow,
made her do that. And then I confided in a friend and I told her the story. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to offer her a free class, and she will come to
yeah,
the class, and she'll see how amazing it is, and she's
yeah,
going to take down her review. And my friend just looked at me like, why would you
yeah,
do that?
yeah,
Why would you go there?
yeah.
And I was
Because
like,
then you
oh my God,
overcompensate.
yes.
Yes,
So that was driving me because my belief was I'm not capable.
yeah,
So I had to show that I'm capable.
yeah.
So it's
Mine
funny.
was a
Mm,
capability thing as well, definitely.
yeah. And I think a lot of women will resonate with that too. I'm
Yes,
gonna show. And a lot of strong independent women will have
yes,
that. So something to look for when it comes to, even when with the topic on burnout and stress, what's driving you? What belief do you have about yourself? And you may need to work on that, so that it doesn't hinder, and it doesn't hinder your life, and it doesn't
yeah,
hinder your health, but it helps knowing that. So doing that deep inner work that you
yeah,
did really helped, right? To
yeah.
get to that point.
Um, it's made me think as well actually about another thing that you said around like the pressure. So a lot of
Mm,
burnout I think comes from pressure. Mine was pressure that like society was telling me that I should do certain things and that will make me feel good or whatever. But that is self-made. That is from, let's be honest, bloody social media. Again, that those LinkedIn updates, and I compared myself to them, or those like Instagram updates of people getting engaged or having babies, or this kind of thing, and it gets in your head. And actually, it was only with the space away from not just work but everything, to like you say, just kind of get back in tune with yourself, for me to be like, well, actually, I'm not even, thank God I haven't married any of the previous partners that I've had because that would have been awful. And
They were all lessons. They were
yeah,
lessons. They were not the
totally.
one.
Totally. Don't regret any of them because it's, made me who I am today and all that kind of thing. But God, thank God I didn't procreate with any of them and all this kind of stuff. And then it's just like when you just get a bit of space and a bit of perspective and you haven't got, you know, a social media feed ramming things down your throat that this is what should make you feel good or whatever. I am now married, like no shade to any of these things kind of thing. But, it wasn't right for me at the time. And it's just kind of, like you say, this self-made pressure that's just like, just take yourself away from that. And then to kind of complete the end of my story is and why I do what I do is the fact that once I kind of felt empowered by the coach that I was working with, by the manager I was working with, to kind of get back in tune with who I am, what I love, what I'm good at, I redesigned my role entirely around those things. And then I absolutely fucking smashed it. And I got like the best rating of anybody in my team. I got a big pay rise, which at the time we were having a really shit year and it was like unheard of and all this kind of thing. But more than that, I worked less than I ever have because I worked better when I was working, to the point around kind of focus. But also I was able to prioritize my physical health around that. So I never started work before 9. I was working from home most of the time. So I'd always get up and get outside and go for a walk in nature. I lived in rural Norfolk where it was gorgeous. And I'd always take an hour for lunch, which meant that not only did I get that kind of space and movement and stuff at lunchtime, I was then able to concentrate really, really well in the afternoon, because I'd had that space. And I used to think that like presence made me good at what I did. And actually, like being at my desk, being online, on Slack, on Teams, whatever platform it is that you use, kind of thing. But I couldn't have been more wrong. And it took a long time for me to learn that. And again, this is similar to you, kind of holistic health coach. I like to think of myself as kind of a holistic career consultant, because it's all of the kind of 6 pillars of life that are affected when you don't love what you do, when you reach burnout, kind of thing. It's physical, social, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial as well, that people don't talk about as much, because if you feel like shit at work, you're not going to be paid very well because you're not going to do great work. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love how you turned that around, right? Like you went through all of that to then discover your purpose, which is
Yeah,
beautiful. So
totally.
amazing.
And then it was kind of like
Mm.
you say, it was sort of a happy side effect of me kind of leaning in to the good stuff. And then they were like, "Oh, you're actually doing really well at this." And then, of course, my ego was like, "Oh, maybe I am the expert in these things." Then it kind of comes full circle, doesn't it?
Amazing.
Oh, amazing. Gosh, we're doing really well. 52 minutes so far. Very quickly, I've got a couple more questions for you that I think would be really useful to people that are listening. So, you talk a lot about gut health. Um,
Mm.
tell me how because I assume this is one of the things that we can do to kind of stave off burnout. So how is gut health and stress linked, and what can we do sort of around our gut and stuff to sort of help stave off burnout?
First of all, thank you for asking that question. I'm so happy that we're talking about this, because honestly, the more I dive into this topic, the more I realize how spoken it is about
Yeah.
in the corporate world. And yes, let's say mental health is very much now, let's say, the buzzword around corporate well-being, with, let's say, around amongst the corporate well-being providers or wellness providers, or a lot of corporates are doing sessions around how important the importance of mental health in a corporate setting. And I've seen it because I work for a corporate well-being app as well, so in Dubai. So I've seen it firsthand, and it's great, and it's fantastic that more and more organizations are talking about it. But what I'm not seeing is enough conversations around how gut health actually affects mental health, because we can be mad at our boss, we can be stressed, we can blame the boss for something, but actually, I really believe that it all comes down to what's happening first in the body. What are we feeding our body with? and what's causing, let's say, our reaction to something that happens to us. So when it comes to gut health, right, 90% of serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone, is actually produced in the gut, not the brain.
Wow.
So if your gut isn't happy,
Yeah.
guess what? Neither are you.
Yeah.
And the way that we make our gut happy is that we feed it with the right bacteria, the good bacteria, good food. And when we feed it with the bad bacteria, let's say the junk food, sugars, etc., we're feeding the bad bacteria, and that's creating a that's being created in our gut, and that flows into our bloodstream, right, and into our brain. So that's why I thought it's so important to talk about gut health and talk about how we can help
Yeah.
ourselves to feel better, nourish ourselves from within for better mental health. Um, so we also heard that your gut is your second brain, right? So if it's off balance, then it can affect your mood, it can
Yeah.
affect your energy, and the focus will suffer. So another thing is also that stress does affect digestion. So poor digestion affects our ability to handle stress.
Yeah.
So it's like a cycle.
Okay.
So that's why, like, I feel it's so important to talk about that and the things that, and it's important to focus on what we can do, how we can help ourselves before we, let's say, point fingers outwards, saying that, like, say we're feeling foggy, or we're lacking focus, etc. So one of the things that I can recommend doing is something that I offer, which is a free 14-day gut cleanse. And I've led quite a few professionals through it as well, and it's amazing the results that they've seen on the back of it when their focus and their energy went up and they felt sharper. And it's funny because, like, I love coffee. I love my French press. I love the taste. I love the smell. Da da da. But on the 14-day gut cleanse, we actually remove all the irritants from the body. So let's say caffeine, sugar, gluten, dairy, and red meat. And the results that I see on people in 7 days, just 7 days, how their energy goes up, how they wake up without an alarm. They're no longer having their sugar crashes at 3 o'clock, at 3 p.m. They actually, some of them gave up coffee on the back of doing the cleanse, and now they just do matcha. They switched to matcha, even though, like, this particular person lived on coffee. She didn't even have breakfast, and she realized that she was curbing the hunger with her almond latte in the morning. And thanks to the gut cleanse, she switched. She's now having savory breakfast. She has more energy throughout the day. Da, da, da. So, like, things like this, when it comes to building healthy habits, sometimes it really helps to do like a little challenge or like a little detox. It's not a diet. I don't recommend it, let's say, as a diet. I don't believe in diets myself. I've done that for way too long. But I really believe in just resetting the gut and giving a break. So I say, I'll take your gut on a holiday. When was the last
Yeah.
time you took your gut on a holiday?
Love that.
When we go on holiday,
Mine's
and I'm like,
probably quite a long
oh
time.
yeah, happy hour. So yeah, I was like, take a gut on a holiday, and that really, really helps because that can show you incredible results in a very, very short period of time.
Amazing. That sounds amazing. When you say a gut cleanse, is it like a juice cleanse? Are we actually allowed to eat real
Mhm.
food on it, or am I going to be really
Yes,
hungry?
yes. No, you're not, that's the thing. I don't believe in juicing. I
Okay.
used to do it,
Yeah.
and it was bad. Um, no, so you eat normal food. You have your breakfast, you have your lunch, you have your dinner, you have your snacks. It's not about quantity.
Yeah.
It's actually about the ingredients.
Yeah.
So it's also about focusing more on the whole foods diet,
Yeah.
but also focusing on your morning and evening rituals,
Yeah.
and kind of giving yourself a little bit of that time and that space. It's like, okay, what does my morning look like? What maybe I can fit in a meditation into that, just to kind of have like a holistic aspect to it. So, do you like your morning? Nice to have a morning ritual and evening ritual. And it's funny how, like, when I talk about when I talk to my clients about it, and they come to me and they say, oh, and I ask them, what's that one thing that you really want to work on? And many of them just say, you know what, I want a good routine.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds so boring,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, so many of them, do you know what? I just want to have an amazing routine. I want to
Yeah.
do the same thing in the morning. I want to do the same thing in the evening, and this is going to make me feel amazing.
Yeah.
And the results that they get once they implement that, it's incredible. So
Yeah.
it's like implementing those healthy habits, implementing healthy routines can have such an
Yeah.
incredible impact on how we feel and then how we feel that translates into how we perform on a daily basis at work, at home. Our focus, our energy levels go up. So it's incredible how like something so mundane can be like so important to so many people.
Oh God, no. So I read Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning,
Mm.
however many years ago now, and it's been one of the biggest game changers actually. It's like, so he, if anyone doesn't know the book, he comes up with this acronym. It's SAVERS, which is to do certain things in the morning. So the first S stands for, oh shit, is it silence? Spending time in silence. A is, I think, affirmations. V is visualization.
Mm-hmm.
S is
Mm.
scripting. E is exercise. R is, oh shit, I can't remember. Oh, I think I've just spelled it wrong as well. Anyway, um, I can't remember what they are, which is really bad. But it's a really, really brilliant book, and I absolutely changed my morning routine off the back of it. Um, my routine here in Bangkok is amazing because we wake up at the time where it's like 3 o'clock in the morning for the UK. So
Mm.
I have now like a really, really gorgeous morning routine that probably most people will be quite jealous of. Also, we live in a lovely apartment block with a pool, so I kind of get up, go to the gym, have a sauna, and in the sauna is where I've started meditating because I can't take my phone in
Beautiful.
there or anything, like there's no distraction and stuff. Then I have a swim, and then I kind of get ready for my day. And funnily enough, I've actually bought a little pack of matcha the other day because I'm trying to get super healthy. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, it was absolutely the biggest game change for me. But then now I find myself being like almost trying to kind of almost my morning routine has become part of like my productivity rather than just like what I liked about what you were saying was kind of being more intentional about it, kind of
Mm-hmm.
tuning in with yourself still, kind of having some stillness and being like, okay, sort of, what do I need today rather than like, right, get up, go to the gym, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I know that I'm doing
Yeah.
all the right things, but I'm not doing them for the right reason necessarily, or I'm still not kind of tuned in with my body about it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Amazing. So you
must tune
see,
back
like, must you back but you already have like you've intuitively built that morning routine, and you see
in. Yes.
how it's benefiting you, right? And it's
Yeah.
amazing that you're blessed to have that. And I know some people who are listening, maybe in the UK, they're like, okay, but I have it's raining 300
Yeah.
days a year. We're like, we feel for you. We've been there. We've been
Yeah.
there. I've lived through this.
Yeah.
But then what else can you do, right? What
Oh,
else can you do to fit in like um some kind of movement or some kind
yeah.
of great routine, morning ritual, morning routine to help yourself to help energize yourself from
Yeah.
the beginning of the day rather than waking up, dressing up and going to
Yeah.
work. So that was one of those things that definitely led me to burnout. It's like waking up
Yeah.
late or
Yeah.
drinking in the evening, not sleeping well,
Yeah.
waking up late, just shower, dress, work. That
Coffee.
was cough, obviously,
All the
and
coffee.
plural
Yeah.
coffees. And then yeah, so no, it's now, and we know how important it is to have that morning routine.
Yeah.
Also one thing is like that bridging the gap between knowing and doing, because it's like, yeah, I know all of this. A lot
Yeah.
of people say that, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know, I do that. But it's like, do we actually do
Do
that?
it.
Because
Yeah.
there's that gap between knowing and doing, and
Yeah.
the only person that can do that, bridge that gap, is you.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you feel like you know all of this, want to ask you, are you doing it?
Yeah.
And how can you help yourself? Just start with one thing. That one thing that you know you could be doing, but you're not.
Love
That will
that.
have a big impact on how you
Yeah.
feel on a daily basis.
Love that. So my last question was going to be, what is one thing that we can do to kind of
Oh.
stave off burnout? But I want to bring it back to gut health actually. Like what's, because you said it's obviously like so important in terms of how we feel, and there's so much more about it now. Like, you know, it wasn't really a thing like 5, 10 years ago, was it? We didn't really know about it, I guess. So what's the one thing that people can do, like an easy thing that we can do to improve our gut health?
Mm. I'll try. I'll try to find
Well, you
one.
can
The
give us a list
one
of three
thing.
or five if you want.
I'll try.
Is there one thing that kind of stands out as like the most important thing to do, or I guess it's a combination of lots of things, is it?
I think I will go back to listen to your body
Okay.
because everyone is different.
Yeah.
And when we listen to our body's already giving us signals.
Yes.
Let's say if you feel bloated or you feel
Yeah.
constipated or you feel like you have to go to the bathroom a lot, like listen to your body. What are you eating? Maybe like some of my clients, they realize that they can't have dairy on the back of just listening to their body because they
Yeah.
finally stopped and they listened. I'm like, oh, okay. Um, so dairy was causing a lot of irritation in their body, and that translates into how we feel. So it's like I would say the first thing is like try to just slow down and tune in into your body and see what signals it's giving you. And every compulsion I always say it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's your body's giving you signals to be like, hello, I'm
Yeah.
knocking at your door. Are you
Yeah.
listening? So I would say do that. Listen to your body first, um, and just if it's one thing, if you're not drinking enough water, start drinking a little bit more water. If you're not moving enough, try to do, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 thousand steps a day. It is possible.
Yeah.
If you're not spending enough quality time with people, if your social life is lacking, how can you make friends? How can you make new friends? What can you do? Maybe you can learn how to salsa, move your body.
Learn how to.
Like,
I love how that's the first
Lou,
idea you came up with. Learn how to
you
salsa.
know why?
Go on.
Lewis House, the podcaster, he met his current wife at a salsa class.
Love that.
Yeah, who would have thought that an ex-rugby player would be going to salsa But he actually, I listened to a podcast where he was saying he was so scared because he
Yeah.
thought he had two left feet and he wanted to overcome the fear. So it's like, what fear do you need to overcome to help yourself get out of your comfort zone, and do that? So, what is that for you? If it's, is it, trying to, so let's say, meditate a little bit more, do something that's more of out of your comfort zone, meet people. I think the social aspect of it is so important as well these days.
Yeah.
And sharing meals with other people is also
Yeah.
really good for us. So yeah, I would say let's really tune in and just like listen and ask yourself that question. What's that one thing that I could be doing right now that I'm not
Yeah.
doing that would have a huge impact on my well-being?
Yeah.
And do that because everybody's different and there's no one size fits all. But obviously, like the water, the sleep, if there's one area in your life that you feel like, oh, I could really fine tune that and then kind of pay a little bit more attention, I would say go and do that.
Love that. And do Eva's 14-day gut cleanse challenge.
Yes, I really
Which
truly
I am
recommend.
definitely going to do. Where, speaking of
It's
which, where do we find that? We'll put
yeah,
share the links with me, and I'll put them in the show notes. That sounds
perfect.
amazing. I'd be really interested
So
in doing
the self-paced one, it's free. You can do it on by yourself, and it's on my website, evagolan.com.
that.
Or if
Amazing.
you do, even just put my name, Eva Golan, and 14-day gut cleanse on Google, it will come up. And then periodically, I also lead a group cleanse, so we're doing all together. So I can keep you posted, Tess, when you want to join for that, because it's also nice to do it with the community and
Yeah.
support each other through the coffee withdrawals.
Yes. Yes.
And how to and kind of make sure that they also are not as bad as we think they could be. There's a way to minimize them. So I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, everything is on my website, evagolan.com, and Instagram, Eva Golan, and LinkedIn everywhere as well.
Amazing. Perfect. That was going to be my next question, which is where do we find you? So that's
Uh-huh.
brilliant. evergolan.com. Well, all that's left to say is thank you so much for that. I've so enjoyed
Thank
that.
you.
We're an hour and 9 minutes, so thank you so much. I have, yeah, learned loads of things from that. Tune in and listen. 14-day gut cleanse. Meditation equals a richer life. All of that good stuff. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to add? Or, I mean, I feel like we've covered loads.
I'll be very curious to hear from your audience. So if there's any questions that they have on the back of listening to this, if they can leave a comment or
Yeah,
drop you a message or drop me a message, like I'll be very curious, and I hope that it brought some value to your listeners. And
absolutely.
I'll be looking out for some comments and some feedback, and then hopefully we can support each other and support them even more through that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, great idea. Brill. All that's left to say is thank you so much for listening or
Thank
watching,
you.
depending on where you are. And yeah, thank you so much for being here, Eva, and hopefully see you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you so much for having me.